welcome to the Onside Kick. Ricky Widmer here along with Dave Oster.
Hey, guys.
And Mark Weber.
How's it going, guys?
And we're back this week to bring you some football. Bears-Lions this week. We're going to talk about the MLB playoff race and then go into a full-out national football spiel. But, guys, Bears, before we talk about the Detroit Lions game, they get the win against a Steelers team that looked like shit.
Yeah, let's be honest. This Steelers team is not the Steelers of the past. I think because of the loss of Pouncey, their offensive line really kind of crumbled. And Ben just seems like he can't get rid of the ball quick enough.
But, guys, they scored 23 points. The Steelers are right there. They were right in this game, and yet somehow they still looked horrible. It's actually pretty impressive, the fact that they were able to stay in this game until that fourth quarter, and still everybody's talking about how bad of a team they are.
I will say, though, you bring up the 20 points that they scored. If you just told me that the Steelers turned the ball over 5 times, I would have said, oh, they scored 3 points, right?
That's what you'd have to expect. But somehow, and this is more of a criticism, I guess, on the Bears defense, constantly Big Ben was able to just throw it right in the center of the field, 30-yard gain.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened nonstop during, second and third quarter. It wasn't good for the Bears defense. And the Bears defense, yeah, they have that kind of bend, don't break mentality, but you can't just leave a giant hole in the center
Yeah, but
of
the
the
Bears defense had 2 scores. They
did.
had a major right interception return on a Julius Peppers fumble return.
And thank you that they did, because without those turnovers, without a doubt, Big Ben was going to get this team back in the game, if not win the game, because they're just letting huge chunks of yards to this team.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing I think about when it comes to, because you mentioned the Bears defense, what I saw on Sunday Night Football was the Bears defense that we saw last year was finally here. I know in the first 2 games they were getting interceptions, they were getting turnovers, but I kept waiting for, when is that one interception going to go to the house? I believe it was the opening game against the Bengals that Tillman had one that I thought was a touchdown. They call it back because his knee was down. And I just kept sitting there going, when is this defensive touchdown going to come? 2 of them came this past week.
Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal showing by the Bears defense. But you do have to give some credit to Antonio Brown for that ridiculous catch in the end zone this past week. I mean, Big Ben wasn't doing it all by himself. He had a lot of help from these wide receivers. The weird thing is they still have a lack of a ground game, which, I mean, it kind of helped me believe into this Bears defense a little bit more because they didn't have to pack the box. And then again, it kind of scared me because we didn't have 10 in the box and we're still getting beat over the middle. It's not good news for the Bears. I think we need to really pick up the play at safety. To be honest with you, they're getting caught with their pants down.
Well, you bring that up, and the one thing I think of, if Antonio Brown was able to do what he did last week, what's Calvin Johnson going to be able to do this week?
Not complete a touchdown because he didn't maintain control of the ball all the way through the catch.
So we can hope. Here's the thing, though, with the Bears defense. They gave up a total of 459 yards. That's insane.
Stupid.
That's a huge amount of yards to give up to this team. And if you do have, I mean, Charles Tillman can go up against Calvin Johnson any day. He can get that done, no problem. But with that being said, Charles Tillman hasn't been all that healthy this season. So if the Steelers, which is not that great of a team, can get 459 yards, what can Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson do to a secondary that might be a little banged up? Charles Tillman might have to sit out a few drives every now and then.
And don't forget, Reggie Bush is back, too, this week. He has been a big help to that Detroit Lions offense.
Yeah, but I mean, and with the Lions, yeah, Reggie Bush is going to be, he's going to be what the Bears look at, but I think that Joique Bell is actually going to be a bigger kryptonite because Reggie Bush is going to run. They're going to use Joique Bell with the swing passes, and I think that's going to be where the Bears need to step up big.
Bush was playing it both when he was healthy. Joique Bell was just kind of like when he was down, kind of a guy, when he needed to catch a breather. I totally agree with you. Joique Bell's got the talent.
Because that's how it was. But after Joique Bell, the game he had last week, they could be splitting time.
I don't know. I'm not so sure. Reggie Bush is still a huge threat in that screenplay. He's got speed. He's got, the whole thing is Reggie Bush just never lived up to the ridiculous expectations.
When he came out of the Trojans.
This guy's still an extremely talented player. And he's, 30? He's 30, 31.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting up there in age still.
Well, and I mean, you guys, going back a little bit to the Bears D, Henry Melton he was placed on the IR today. Bears signed defensive tackle Landon Cohen, which I don't know if it's like a huge signing. He's a guy that's played since 2008, was drafted by the Lions, probably just a pickup because it's like, oh, one went down, we need someone on the roster.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just a contingency plan in case, by some weird luck of, happenings, we lose a couple more guys, and like, what do we gotta do? Throw out like Marshall or Bennett at defensive tackle,
Well, to be honest, though, it wouldn't make too much of a difference because this pass rush has been terrible. We're not getting any pass rush, and that's going to be a huge key for this Detroit Lions game. I mean, how many times and it's Big Ben, he's the tank, but how many times were we getting towards Big Ben and he just moves out of the way?
Oh my God, it was just sad to watch. It almost seemed like he was toying with us at times.
Yeah, but
never mind.
But that's Big Ben. Big Ben's the type of guy that he's known for extending plays after the pocket collapses. I don't think Matthew Stafford, he's not the same kind of player. He'll take the sack, injure his shoulder, and then go, I can throw if you need me to.
But the thing here is I just don't think that the Bears defense were really able that often to get in a situation where it's going to be a sack on other quarterbacks. I mean, they did get to Big Ben a lot, but a lot of that was because the receivers are so bad in Pittsburgh that they can't get open. So there's more time there.
I'd say bad offensive line trumps up most of that.
I think that when we get to the Lions game, an issue is going to be, can we get the pressure on Matthew Stafford? Because he's got a cannon arm. He's got a good wide receiver out there. And then,
a good wide.
Yeah, and then there's not much else. But
well, and I mean, you say a good wide receiver for the Lions. If they want to win this game, who's going to step up?
Well, it ain't going to be Burleson because he ain't playing.
Well, I mean, is it going to be Bush? Is it going to be Bell? Is it going to be their rookie tight end, Joseph Ferreira, who has 2 touchdowns in these first 2 games, who could be a guy that he comes out, Bears go, oh, we don't know much about him. They don't play him as tough as they play Calvin Johnson. Boom, touchdown.
We just don't know. My opinion for best matchup is this Detroit Lions defensive line versus our front 5.
How many times does Cutler get sacked?
I think this is going to be like the best test of the year for the front 5 for the Bears. I know so far they've done a phenomenal job.
Well, look at the Cincinnati game. Yeah.
Absolutely monstrous. Who would have bet that 2 rookies guarding that right side would have kept up? I can't wait to see it happen. The one thing I am kind of a little bit afraid about is, the dirty plays.
Ndamukong.
We got some issue. We got some history between Ndamukong Suh and Cutler, so I'm a little bit worried about that.
See, and this is an interesting thing. I'll bring it up because I want to get your guys' opinion on this because you guys are the Bears fans in the room. I was reading SI this week, and Boomer Esiason wrote an article that Ndamukong Suh should no longer be in football because of his dirty plays, because of his fines, because he just, and the way he put it, just doesn't get it, and it doesn't go through his head.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing about it is the guy thinks he's doing nothing wrong. And we've seen some horrendous plays out of him. And at first it was like, oh, he's just a guy coming out of college. He doesn't understand the game speed. He's just playing. He's trying to play up to their level, trying to show off. No. This is a guy who's going out there with malice and trying to hurt people.
Exactly. That's the big thing. When he's trying to hurt somebody, it's not good for the NFL. It's not good for any teams. You don't want to see that. And for a league that's so into player safety nowadays, that's the big buzzword. They kind of let Ndamukong Suh get away with quite a bit because what's a money fine for this guy? He's making tons of it. And even if you give him a 1-2 game suspension, game 3, he's right back out there doing the exact same thing over again. I mean, it's hard to say ban him from the league or anything like that, but
multiple penalties and you still don't learn. It's hard to. Yeah, what are you going to do to the guy who just refuses to change his style of play?
Well, and one of the things that I found interesting in the article written by Boomer was he kind of compared it a little bit to Bountygate for the Saints. Look at what they do. Sean Payton, he's hit with a year suspension, can't coach his team, and look at how bad they did. Ndamukong Suh does. Is it a Bountygate situation? Not exactly, but like you said, Mark, malice is the key word. And he only gets, a chip change here and there, fine.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that you bring up Bountygate because that really was, intent to hurt, but that was also pre-planned and, talked about between the players. I think that's the difference here. This is Sue on his own, making his own decision.
Jekyll and Hyde is how I see it. Off the field, you talk to him, it's like, oh, he's a good guy. On the field, it's like, I don't even know this guy anymore.
I'm really curious to know if you get a new coach in there, which we all are pretty much in agreement that it
Jimmy
should happen.
Schwartz is like a 7th grader coaching a high school football team.
If you get a new coach in there, what is he going to do with Ndamukong Suh? Because that's a relationship that might not grow into anything. It might be a situation where a new coach says, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with this kid. He's a huge issue for this team.
It's a liability.
Concern. Exactly. He's going to give up yardage to the other teams. If not, we're going to, build these kind of defensive arrangements around this guy, and then he spends 3 games suspended.
And the other thing here is, like you said, the NFL has gotten a whole lot more player health centric. And who's the face of the league? It's always quarterback. And you've got a guy going out there who in the past has not only given them concussions, but goes at them, trying to rip them down to the ground by what's that? The back horse collar. Thank you. And the way he does things, you've got to think that the NFL is just waiting for him to screw up on something and just have to pull the trigger.
And Ndamukong Suh has had some, I'm going to say, dirty situations with Jay Cutler. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Well, I think we all got to remember that Ndamukong Suh will have a dirty situation with any quarterback given the opportunity. I don't think he discriminates against anybody. There might be a little bit more because it's a rivalry game, but he's pretty willing to take anybody on and take anybody down.
Do you guys think that there's going to be a dirty situation this week with Ndamukong?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. When Ndamukong Suh is out there, I always expect something dirty.
Well, last thing for the Bears-Lions is predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen on Sunday?
I got the Bears taking this one. I think this team is legit. I said it during our preseason show. I said, we're the top team in the NFC North, and I think we've gone out there and proved it every single week. Sometimes it looks fluky, but that's the way the Bears have won in the past, and it doesn't really surprise me a ton. I got the Bears win this one 35-20.
Interesting. This matchup is a little concerning to me just because I think if somebody is going to be able to knock us off the undefeated ranks, it's going to be a division rival. And I think when we saw the biggest thing I was concerned about against the Steelers was, wow, that's a big hole in the middle of the field. Wow, that's another big hole in the middle of the field. And Calvin Johnson will take advantage of that. They'll just move him over instead of just going straight to the end zone. Let's get you in the middle of the field a little bit, let you work some magic. I'm a little nervous about that. But with that being said, I think the offensive line will give Jay Cutler plenty of time to hopefully just work his magic that we can all see. And that defensive line's got to step it up and get to Matthew Stafford. I'm going to put it 24-14 for the Bears.
Bears are going to get the W. They're going to go to 4-0. And it'll be interesting to see. The last time the Bears went 4-0 was 2006. Where did they go that year? The Super Bowl against the Colts. If they get the win this week, I think there are going to be many people throwing out Super Bowl hype for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, it's well worth it. We've proven ourselves against top-tier teams. It's not like we're going out there and beat the Jaguars every single week.
It's not like we're playing the Browns.
Yeah. We'll get to that later.
God forbid losing to the Browns. Well, how embarrassing must that be as a Vikings fan, Ricky? Not only the Browns' backup quarterback, the week after they trade away their best offensive
we got 3.
Oh, you're right. They jumped.
Yeah,
we got 3 interceptions on them.
Yeah, and yet you couldn't even win.
And we'll see this week with the Vikings if.
Don't worry, we'll talk about it later.
Are the Vikings currently talking to Tim Tebow, looking for a new starting quarterback?
They might be interested in Josh
I will say
Freeman.
this right now: if Tebow signs with the Vikings, and I'm not saying it's a true thing, if he signs with the Vikings, I will become a Bears fan until he is off the Vikings.
Josh Freeman, thoughts?
I'd be okay with it.
Interesting.
We'll get to that more later. Because I've got.
We just want it to stew.
Yeah, seriously.
It's stewing already, guys. It's been stewing for a week. But to move a little bit away from football, to give a little palate to the listeners out there, baseball is still a thing. It's going on, guys.
Really?
Yeah, it's still even though Chicago baseball's been kind of
we have
dead.
Teams in Chicago. Yeah, not this year.
But the playoffs do start this upcoming week, and for the NL, the division winners, the Dodgers win the division, Braves win the division, Cardinals and Pirates. That'll be sorted up this weekend. Cincy is already in the wild card, and on the AL side, you have Boston, Detroit, Oakland as your division winners. And right now, the wild card is Cleveland and Tampa, but Texas is on the outside looking in. And I just want to start out with that Rangers team. I think they're going to choke.
They looked sloppy last night. I mean, if there's one thing that just won't cut it in playoff baseball is these errors. These self-made errors are just it's kind of sad because it was like throwing errors. One guy Bucknered it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's little things, it's details, and it's the basics of baseball, and they're just not getting them during the most important part of the season. Yeah, they can smash the ball around. Fantastic, but how many games are you going to count on the long ball covering up for all your little mistakes?
Well, and the one thing I think about is Josh Hamilton. How great would it feel? The A's are playing the Rangers this weekend to take your former team and say, no, you're not making the playoffs.
Not only that, but when you have that kind of motivation, that's the motivation that kicks you into the next gear while you're in the playoffs. Go ahead and make a run.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is get in, and if that's the fuel to your fire, that can take you as just one single player, but that can take you pretty far and have your team feed off of your new energy. That's exactly what they need.
So, I mean, we have Tampa and Cleveland. Tampa's magic number is 2 to clinch the wild card. Cleveland right now is 3. Texas is only a game back of both of them, or a game back of Cleveland, I should say. They're 5 games back of Tampa, or their magic number is 5 to get ahead of Tampa. Do you see Texas making the wild card?
I don't think so. I love the Rays pitching. I'm a little interested in this Cleveland team. I'm not quite sure what to make of them at this point, but I got the Texans missing out.
Well, right now, we got to think about the win streaks. I think that's a huge thing right now. 7-game win streaks for both Tampa and Cleveland. I don't see that ending anytime soon. These are teams that know what they got to do. They know they got to close this out. And it's going to be simple for a team that's already feeling the momentum and already feeling the playoffs to just sneak right in there.
And Dave, you brought up Cleveland. I'm going to throw out this question. Bigger playoff surprise, that Cleveland's in the hunt or that Boston won the AL East?
I'd say Boston in the AL East. Everybody that came into this year looking at a rebuilding season. Guess what? There's no rebuilding in Boston. They just reloaded. There's no downtime at all for this team.
But anyone thinking that Cleveland would have a working team that can just go into the playoffs, that surprises me.
Yeah, but
the level of competition in the East.
I mean, yeah, you do have that, but in the East, you also got to remember of teams like the Yankees. What are the Yankees doing?
Yeah, but the Yankees crumbled this year.
Yeah, they fell apart, exactly. So
they were just too old, okay? That's just all it is. They threw down the money. It's stuck in the wrong places.
And then you got a team like, the Blue Jays over there who
tried to buy it,
can't do it. I don't really buy the level of competition out there as much.
I think the big thing for both of these teams is the manager. Look at Cleveland. They bring in a guy like Terry Francona who's been there, done that, and basically show that, hey, I believe with Francona, he could come in, excluding the Cubs, come in and say,
suck.
I can take this team to a playoff. Not necessarily a World Series.
We're going to lose 100 games here, and I can still say the Cubs suck more. Confidently.
And I mean, on the other side with Boston, the debacle that they had, I'm just going to ignore the Cub talk out of Dave. Boston had a debacle with Valentine as the manager.
Yeah, he was not the right fit.
Get him out of town. The mood in the clubhouse changed completely, and with that positive momentum, no matter what manager they stuck in, they rode it to a division title. And I mean, on the other side, in the National League, I think, the Dodgers, I mean, I want to see them do well, but I mean, it's hard for me not to root for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
You know, a team that's been so subpar for so long, I kind of want to agree with you. But I just think the Dodgers, they've got the pitching, they've got the hitting, they've got the names. Kershaw.
Yasiel.
The thing about Puig, though, I mean...
He's a name.
He's a big name, but I think that's a lot of pressure on him right now. There's going to be a ton of pressure. Everyone's going to think, he's the guy that came out of nowhere. No one saw it coming, and now he's going to go and win a World Series. I think he's going to choke on that pressure.
See, I don't think when it comes to the Dodgers, I don't think that people are going to be, oh, it's all on Puig to win this team the World Series. I think with the Dodgers, people are going to be looking at a team and say, okay, you guys sucked early on and you brought up Puig and basically like a firecracker just shot off and now you won your division. Can you go up right now? Their first test in the NLDS would be the Cardinals, which is a tough opponent. It's not as tough as going up against the Braves because my two favorite teams in this competition are the Dodgers and the Braves. I think they're the toughest, but the Cardinals are no pushover.
Yes, sir. This Cardinals team, again, they just, we lost Pujols, big deal. We'll go win another world championship.
Mm-hmm.
They have probably one of the top farm systems, and they actually keep it to keep filling out this major league team. And it's beautiful. It's like, we lose some guys here, and good thing we just have this ridiculous talent we're going to pull up. Nobody's really heard of him. And he's going to fill out our roster. Everything works just fine for them. So I think that's just the best run organization in the MLB. So I can't count them out at any point.
And I mean, this is jumping ahead of the gun because we still got one more series going this weekend. But Cardinals and Pirates in a little bit of a race for the division right now. Cardinals in the lead. Can the Pirates do anything against the Reds to boost them over the Cardinals?
Do the Pirates want to do anything?
See, I don't know.
Do you play the matchup?
Well, this is how I see it. You can either go ahead and do well, try to jump the Cardinals. You get a day off, 2 days off while the wild card game happens, and you get to go ahead and say, okay, we're playing, I believe it'd be the Dodgers. It could be the Braves. It depends on how matchups go. Or you go, you know what? We'll stay in the wild card. We're playing Cincy this weekend, basically make it a 4-game series with that last game being who makes the playoffs.
I think it's kind of a scary thing, though, when you're like riding out, we can either have a for sure series in the playoffs or we can ride it out and try to make this a 4-game series. And then, that last game is either make or break, and that's it. Everything's on the line that one game. I think they got to try to win out regardless of who they're going to end up
So you're
playing.
saying go win the Central.
You got to give it a shot. Win the Central. Get yourself a guaranteed series.
I know we all like to say things like suck for the better draft pick or go for the matchup, but this isn't a video game. This is real life. You don't lose. You go for the win no matter what. Always try and win.
I'm going to compare it to something that happened last year. Washington Nationals. You go ahead and you're in the playoffs. You're like, you know what? We're going to sit Steven Strasburg.
Because we're idiots.
Because we're idiots. Exactly. And they're like, oh, don't worry. We'll be back. We'll be back next year. It doesn't matter. You're not making the playoffs. You're 10 games behind the Braves right now. You got to go for the win. And I mean, it's kind of a different situation because this was one player and basically screwed up your chances to win a World Series because the Nationals actually could have contended last year. So if I'm Pittsburgh, this is your first time in how many? Since like the 90s was the last time
Early
they made the
90s,
playoffs?
maybe, yeah.
It's a team that has sucked so long that it's like
It's spanned my entire life.
you gotta get it done. Well, and guys, two of the last things we'll talk about, one being the Yankees, then we'll make our World Series predictions for the playoffs. If you haven't heard, if you've been living under a rock, Robinson Cano wants how much money, Dave, was it?
About $305 million.
$305 million to come back and play for the Yankees. Jay-Z's his agent. The two questions I'm going to ask, one, should the Yankees pay that much money? And two, is this because of Jay-Z being his agent?
One, you're out your damn mind if you pay that much money. I mean, the Yankees already are suffering for the Alex Rodriguez contract, the Mark Teixeira contract. Like I said earlier, they've got all their money in the wrong places. If Jeter comes back on his last year, holy crap, they're giving away way too much money. I mean, you love it's hard to say no to old faces, but at some point you've got to go, we need to win a championship again because we're the Yankees and losing's not acceptable. So how many wins does Cano give you a year? I don't know. It's hard to judge. I know there's wins above replacement. His is like the highest on the Yankees, but still only at like 9 maybe. But you got to invest that money into pitching. Pitching wins more games, more of an impact.
Well, I believe free agents this year from the pitching, Kuroda, they have Nova, and Chamberlain. That's just 3 of them that I can remember. Also, you have Curtis Granderson's a free agent this year. You have to re-sign him.
They've got They just have to take better care of their money, and you got to let Cano walk on this own.
Yeah, the Yankees fell apart this season, so they're doing something wrong. It's a rebuilding time, and yeah, they got some good pieces together. They don't have to rebuild as much as some other teams, much like the Cubs. But the thing for the Yankees is you don't throw out $305 million on one guy. You can't do that right now. And no team should throw out $305 million on one guy. It's just not worth it. And the question about Jay-Z, for that one, it makes no sense to me. It's a guy, and I don't know how much he actually is involved with the whole process. I'm guessing little to none. But whoever's making these decisions, not very smart. They're not getting him in a practical sense to where he can be put back on a good team.
Today, before I came to do the podcast, I was watching SportsCenter, and they played a clip of Olbermann, the show that he does now on ESPN2. The way he said it, if next year the Yankees bring a roster that is similar to the one they have this year, assuming that they get most of the people back, they will have a catcher by committee. They'll have Teixeira at first if he stays healthy, so you'll probably see Lyle Overbay. He said for second base without Cano, what, are you going to put Nunez there? But then Nunez might have to play third or even shortstop when Jeter goes down to start the season. For third base, the Yankees used 11 third basemen this year, and their farm team cycled 12 third basemen, with the best hitter being Brent Lillibridge.
Woo!
And then the only thing that's solid is the outfield with Soriano, Gardner, and Suzuki.
Yeah, this is a Yankees team that just held on to the past too long. You know, they didn't know when they were done. And I think what you have to remember, look at the contract proposal that Cano has out there. Let's look at the last couple people who've had these massive contracts. Pujols just got given a $250, $75 million contract, somewhere in that range. Stupid. 10 years of suck.
He hasn't
underperformed in his first year, underperformed in his second year.
Hasn't had the numbers like he did in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's because he's in the. It's just, I think it's just a bad idea. Then you got A-Rod with his contract. Again, even with him taking steroids, he started off pretty strong, but then it just you're paying a premium price for the players. Maybe he's got 3 to 4 like amazing years left, and the rest of the time you're just overpaying for old talent.
One thing, and I don't think it was as much money as we're talking about here, but lesser example, look at R.A. Dickey. Pitches great with the Mets, signs with the Blue Jays, and where are the Blue Jays now?
That's just a one-hit wonder. Let's be honest. He was 30-something when he did that game. He'd been pitching for 10 years before, never had such a great season. It was just he had a good year.
But I mean, and also, players aside, Cano aside, the Yankees have to think, what are we going to do with Joe Girardi? He's coming up with a new contract, and I know, Mark, you mentioned the Cubs. The Cubs, rumors have it from ESPN that former Houston Astro catcher Brad Ausmus is reportedly our top choice to replace Dale Sweevum. But I mean, Girardi comes out there. He was talks last time we were looking for a manager. He's going to be in talks again.
I don't know. Here's the issue. In going for the Yankees, I think anybody who might walk, let them walk. That's what I think the Yankees should be at. You need to kind of rebuild this team. It's a lot of old players. You can't keep the past and try and inject this youth into that because it's just not going to work out for you. Start over. Get rid of these big money guys. Let some guys walk. Trade some guys away if you have the ability to. And just, why not? Why not start again? You'll be back in, 5 years?
Not even. And this MLB where you can throw down for the next big free agent, it's like you're looking at 3 years to rebuild, and they're back in it. I mean, the Minnesota Twins have to have refreshed their minor league system by then. They're ripe for the pickings.
Yeah, but I mean, and the one thing that Olbermann kind of mapped out were there's no besides Cano, there's no huge position player who's a free agent. And if the Yankees look for someone that can play second base, they're in a bidding war to get Hunter Pence.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't need your second baseman to hit 330 and 30 plus home runs a year, 100 RBIs. Fantastic stats. I'm sure it helps you win some games. But they'd be happy with somebody who hit 280, I'll be honest with you.
What did Soriano hit when he played second base for the Yankees? Was he a power guy? Like not a power guy, but now he's more of like a swing for the fences
Yeah,
type.
Soriano was not a swing for the fences when he was with the Yankees early in his career. He was more of a slap shot hitter. I think his last 2 years with the Yankees, he had 20 home runs, 20 plus steals, kind of a guy. But his game shifted a lot as he started to get older. He built on the more muscle mass and just started jacking shots left and right.
Well, and I just think this Yankees team is one of the final comparisons that Olbermann made was Steinbrenner, the new one.
Not the old one.
Not the old one. He came in where you kind of think with him that success is just always there. He wasn't with the Yankees when the Yankees sucked, before they became what they were. When he was growing up, it's like, oh, the Yankees are good. Yankees are good. Times are good. Success isn't mandatory. Sometimes you got to build up to it.
Yeah, and it's a lesson that'll come with some time. He'll learn money can't solve all your problems. Yeah, it can sure put a ton of big names on your team. Doesn't help if the names don't become a team and you don't have the pitching talent to win a championship.
Well, guys, and to round out the baseball talk for this week, World Series predictions. Who you got?
It's hard for me to say this, so I'm not. I'm going to go against Detroit, which would be the logical thing. They got, the talent with pitching and everything. I'm going Dodgers. I'm going the other playboy in the league.
So you think it's going to be Dodgers-Tigers?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not so sure about that one. I'm buying into the Boston Red Sox.
Baloney.
I'm buying into it. They're the only team that is at 60%. And I'm going to buy that. I think they will get there. I do not, though, think that they're going to win. I think they're going to lose to one of Ricky's favorite teams, the St. Louis Cardinals.
You ready for this? You ready for this World Series prediction? Sit down. Hold your seats. A's Pirates.
Dream matchup.
And no.
Whole country would love it.
A's Pirates. A's win Moneyball 2.
Would the whole country love it, or would no one watch?
It doesn't matter because
I'd
a
watch.
World Series game gets lower ratings than the NFL draft.
I'd watch.
It's a good point.
I'd watch.
It
if
doesn't
was
matter anyway.
I think we get lower ratings than a Jaguars Raiders game.
But would news stations apologize for playing that game over a different game?
Yes, we still would. Still would.
I'm sorry, we have to show you Jacksonville and can't show you the Manning Bowl.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm sorry that we have to show you the World Series. This is a horrible matchup. I'm sorry, everybody.
But guys, now moving into football, before we get to our picks, actually have some things to talk about. Last week was only, Trent Richardson gets traded. This week, we have a benching in Tampa Bay where Josh Freeman hits the Pine Pony, Glennon coming in, and Freeman goes, hey, you know what? You should probably trade me.
When your coach has no faith in your quarterback, it's not going to... It shows. It absolutely shows. I think Josh Freeman has the talent to succeed in this league. I think he just needs to find a new home.
And perhaps that home could be the Minnesota Vikings.
Dun, dun, dun.
They seem to be one of the few, if only, teams that are really all that interested in making a trade for him.
Well, you'd have to assume the Jaguars are open ears to anybody with a right arm.
I don't understand what the Jaguars are doing, to be honest. I really don't.
Tim Tebow's been a free agent for like 3 weeks now. What's up with that?
I'm pretty sure they're convinced and set on the fact that they will be the number one overall pick, and I think they're happy with that.
Who, Jacksonville?
Yeah. Bust?
I think they're pretty happy with they got to take a quarterback. It probably will be Bridgewater.
See, when I think of Freeman to Minnesota, I think to myself, well, okay, I would think he's better than Ponder.
Yes.
But is he that much of a step up from Ponder?
Yes, absolutely is. You got to remember, he came out, had a fantastic rookie year with an offensive coordinator who believed in him, with a head coach who believed in him. And then we got into new head coach. He's got a new system. And obviously, he didn't match the system. The head coach doesn't like him. And it just comes down to different ideas, different play styles, and he just doesn't fit their mold.
I think it depends how Matt Castle does. If Matt Castle comes out, plays well, you get a victory against a Steelers team that sucks this year,
yeah, I'm glad
then you don't trade for Josh Freeman. But I mean, with
do you
Freeman,
really want to
it's
put
not
the team in the hands of
Matt Castle. Do you think he's a long-term solution?
No, he's not. He's
Josh
this year.
Freeman could be a long-term solution. He could be a quarterback for the next 6 years.
The thing that worries me about Josh Freeman is if you trade for him, bring him in, he does good things, contract year, then you got to pay him.
You don't have to pay him that much. I'm sure when they bring him in, they'll sign him to something, some sort of deal. Because I imagine he'll.
You
be
think Josh Freeman will
fourth?
come in and then just want to sign something right away, or he will want to? I think he'll come in and play out the season.
Because his contract he's not on his rookie contract anymore, is he?
He's on, from 2009.
Oh, wow.
5 years. This is the last year of the 5-year deal.
I think you can actually get out of this okay if you're a team that trades for him, because it'll take a while for him to get used to the system. He'll get used to the plays.
You're not going to pay him
he's not
big
gonna,
money
Yeah, he's not going to go out there and make the Pro Bowl. You know, it's not like that's going to happen. He's not going to take your team to the playoffs this year.
Well,
so you'll be okay.
Let's put it this way. His base salary is around $8 million. His cap hit is about $9.76 million. Over under that. If you're a team, any team that trades for Freeman and is going to re-sign him, over under about $10 million.
I think it's under. I think you're looking at probably $7 $8 million range again, because you're a quarterback who got benched for a rookie and who got let go.
Yeah,
by
but
his
to
main
be
team.
honest, Glennon was a guy that even the Bears were looking at.
Glennon was a rookie everyone was looking at, but nobody, obviously Tampa Bay went and got him, but he didn't beat him out in training camp. He had a very good training camp by all reports.
Yeah, but the one thing I think about that is, did Schiano give Freeman the job? Because it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to see.
Except for the fact that Schiano doesn't like Freeman and doesn't fit the system. Like, that's my biggest gripe on this, is Schiano's trying to force something. Freeman's a different style quarterback. You got to let him do what he does.
We threw out the Vikings. Are there any other teams that you guys think that are going to go after Freeman? That could go after Freeman?
Well, obviously, the Jaguars have to think about it. They got to assess what their plans are for their franchise. And besides that, that's basically it. I don't know who else wants to take a shot at
the Jets,
Josh
because
Freeman.
they love going after quarterbacks?
No, because Geno Smith seems to be their solution. They're pretty much all in on Geno Smith at this point. I think the Titans might be a team.
Is Jake Locker a solution? That's the one thing I was thinking.
Jake Locker kind of seems like he is filling in for the quarterback who started over him. Very safe play, very cautious, but also can when needed throw the ball down the field. I don't know. He went from a guy who was going to be the number one pick if he came out a year earlier to a later pick, and now he's like, he's downhill sloping for me.
Well, and one thing I just thought about, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but think about Sam Bradford. He's not a guy in the Rams that you're right. He's not a long-term solution.
You're absolutely right. I've given up all hope on Sam Bradford, as I've mentioned on the show a couple times. I thought the guy had potential coming out, but he's just, I think, either A, traumatized from the ridiculous hits he's gotten in the first couple of years in this league, and B, the team didn't supply him with a full offense around him. Like, he just had nothing to work with. All these wide receivers were getting injured around him. Now they gave up the running back, and it's just, I don't think he's the solution for a team. Incredibly smart guy, but no.
I'm not sure. I'm not so convinced on the St. Louis Rams for Josh Freeman, only because I think they're a team that's going to look this offseason at a new answer. And I don't believe that they take somebody from the 2009 draft class and put him next to Sam Bradford. That doesn't make sense to me. It's just going to kill
Or
Sam
I'm
Bradford
saying
so
straight
much.
up trade Bradford for Freeman.
No, that's not going to happen either. Not only is it not a good trade for anybody, but it doesn't make sense because it's obvious that Schiano says Glennon's my guy.
Yeah. The interesting thing here is how hard are the Rams kicking themselves for giving up that pick to RG3? I mean, come on. They had RG3.
But would RG3 fit Fisher's system?
I'm pretty sure Fisher's a smart enough guy to make a system around him. Fisher's probably one of the top 5 head coach GM. Like, he's just that good at anything he does in football. He knows the game. Frontward, backward, doesn't matter. I have total faith in him running things. It's just, I just think that it was one of the stupidest moves looking back on it. We were all saying, they're putting all their faith in Bradford, and what have we seen out of him so far? Nothing.
I will say, though, the one thing about the Rams that I saw yesterday is you go out and draft Tavon Austin, right?
Yep.
And then you have Sam Bradford basically saying, I'm going to throw to Austin Pettis.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that there's a little, I don't want to say disconnect, but they don't get along right now. I remember in training camp there was the comment coming out about Tavon Austin being like his parents should be embarrassed for him, and that's from a teammate. You got to take that as just like a complete slap in the face. I mean, it could be an attitude issue. I haven't been inside the locker room for the St. Louis Rams, but you have to imagine that there's better chemistry going on right now between Austin Pettis and Sam Bradford.
Well, and guys, we're talking quarterbacks. We mentioned the Vikings in the trading for Freeman, but I mean, this week, Matt Castle getting the start, and you guys said it before, taunting me that I know the Vikings lost to the Cleveland Browns.
Do you, or do you need us to remind you again?
Because they did lose to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened.
I feel like, and after that game, I remember coming up for dinner and telling my parents, Christian Ponder is like, I was speaking like one of those fans that was like, just get him off the team
Cut him.
in nicer terms.
Yeah.
I was saying things that probably no human should say to another human.
You know, it happens. We're a little passionate around here.
But I feel like he's the problem. And if you put Castle in, great. Is Castle a long-term solution? No, but he's a Band-Aid for the season.
Now, here's the thing, though. I don't see Castle being able to do that much more than
So,
Ponder can do.
who cares?
You get maybe 4 or 5 games out of this situation. I don't know. I don't see a big advantage to it. I don't think it's going to be that beneficial in the long run. I think actually keeping Ponder out there might not be a bad thing. It might not be a bad thing because maybe as he starts going, he can get back into that rhythm.
The reason why it doesn't matter, and Mark, we talked about this last week. I brought up the mock drafts from CBS. Theirs have changed a little bit, but look at the quarterbacks that could come out this year. Bridgewater, of course, he's going to be, in my mind, number one. You also have Mariota from Oregon. You have Taj Boyle from Clemson. You have Brett Hundley from UCLA. You have, scrolling down a little more, they're saying Mariota later. I'm not seeing many more quarterbacks. So quarterbacks are probably going to go top 5, but those are some pretty good quarterbacks. I'd be happy with any of those quarterbacks on my team.
Yeah, but it's still early in the season predictions. I mean, come on. Jake Locker was number 1. Let's be honest here. And you reached for Ponder at what, 13?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was double-digit picks. I don't remember if it was 13. We reached for him though, because that was Jake Locker went at 7. And then it's like quarterback. We need a quarterback. It's like, you know what? Locker was our guy, but we don't need to get a quarterback here. What are you doing? Oh, you
drafted him already.
You took Ponder. And I mean, I feel like this season for the Vikings, I said it last week, it's official this week because we lost to the Browns. Season's over. Just tank for a quarterback. Just go ahead and tank because Christian Ponder.
Leaving Ponder in there because at least you see what you got out of the guy. I mean, he showed flashes of competency at the end of last season. And Castle is a known product. If you put him in a great team, great system, he'll pull fantastic numbers. Put him in a crappy team, he'll be crappy.
And this is from the fan, yes, that would make sense if you're just going to suck. But I mean, right now, the Vikings organization wants to win, and they're going to obviously put in Castle because they believe right now he gives them the best chance to win, even though Ponder has a quote-unquote rib injury. I think that's
some brass knuckles from somebody.
I think that's just politely saying you've been benched. They're going to need to... They want to win still. I still think that later in the season, Vikings are going to be 1-8, and then Ponder finishes out the season because it's going to be like, well, yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
But guys, last thing we're going to do, rapid picks. We'll start with that game in London. Vikings-Steelers.
I got the Steelers taking this one. I know it's weird after watching them go and get their asses kicked by the Bears, but I think they still got a better chance than the Vikings do.
I got to go with the Vikings. I mean, Matt Castle, proven commodity. He's done some things with, I'm going to go all the way back with the Patriots. He's going to find some targets, and Adrian Peterson's going to have a day.
I'm going to go with the Vikings as well, even though they keep losing it. I think the Steelers are making a mistake with how late they're going to be getting to London. They're not going to see the field until game day. I think that's a mistake. Your team's not going to be ready.
Ravens-Bills.
I got the Ravens taking this one. I like the Ravens. I think that they're kind of a crazy team. It's either lopsidedly bad or lopsidedly good, one way or the other.
Is Ray Rice playing? Is he a game time decision or is he out for sure?
He should play. I think he's going to be very limited, but he should be out there.
See, I'm going to go with the Bills. EJ Manuel, I have faith in this. I'm going to say kid. I have faith in this kid, and I just don't think the Ravens are what they used to be.
I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. Because of the kid out there, this defense, it's not a bad defense, it's not a great defense, but they can still get it done and pressure the kid and make him make mistakes.
Bengals, Browns, are any of us going to pick Cleveland for the upset?
It's a pretty big mountain to climb over. I mean, these Browns team beat the Minnesota Vikings.
They got their star quarterback out there in third-string Hoyer. Fantastic job. They got a new running back. Everything's looking up for Cleveland right now.
And yet, I'm gonna pick the Bengals to inch this one out.
I'm going to say Bengals by like 21.
Yeah, I think we're all going with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Okay, Giants, Chiefs. Can the Giants get their first win?
Nope. Chiefs are gonna go 4-0. Giants are turnover machines. And guess what? This Chiefs offense, 0 turnovers committed.
Oh.
Matt Castle walked away from this team. Plug in a smart quarterback, Alex Smith.
Plug in a quarterback who knows how to use or a coach who knows how to use a quarterback.
I guess that helps too. But Alex Smith is a guy who does not make mistakes. He will not cost your team a game.
I'm going with the Chiefs.
That's what you get out of a game manager, and that's why the Chiefs are going to be a fairly good team.
Underrated defense, guys. Underrated defense.
Okay, we talked about Glennon being the starter. Does he have enough to give the Bucs their first win over the Cards?
He's a wild card for me on this one. I like the
no
Cardinals.
pun intended.
You gotta kill my momentum. I like the Cardinals in this one, though. I think that it's just gonna be too much, and this is not a very good defense to go up against as your first start.
Well, the one thing, I'm going with the Cards as well, but it will be interesting to see how Carson Palmer plays against Darrelle Revis in the Buccaneers secondary.
True that.
That's going to be a tough one. That's why I think this is going to have a lot of turnovers in this game. Revis can get them, and then you got Honey Badger and Peterson out there off of a rookie quarterback. First game starting. It's going to be turnover central.
Colts, Jaguars, over under 400 yards for Andrew Luck.
Under by about 50. I got him going for like 350 today.
I'm going to say over. I think he's going to have no problem on this one. Just dominating.
They got a new running back.
Does Trent Richards? How many yards does Trent Richards? How much offense can the Colts put together?
Colts for not using Trent Richardson more week 1. I understand why, but it really pissed me off because I had Bradshaw on my bench. Okay, next.
We're all going Colts.
Yeah.
We're all going Colts.
Seahawks, Texans, and Ed Reed came out and said, this could be your look at the Super Bowl.
Ed Reed's delusional. He thinks he's still on the Ravens from last year. I got the Texans winning this one because they're at home. Seahawks on the road are not very consistent. Their offense struggles at times. I got Texans winning this one.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
I'm going Seahawks too because of that defense. I think, and I don't think I'm wrong on this one, Matt Schaub going to throw to a lot of Seahawks defenders.
Yeah, Sherman for sure.
I don't got faith in Schaub, but I still think this team at home has enough tools to win.
Dave, you're yet again for another week, you're going against the team that you said was your most feared defense in the league.
I know.
Sounds a little hypocritical if you ask me.
Whatever, I still like them at home.
Jets, Titans. Can Locker basically repeat his great performance from last week?
He may, but it's not going to happen because this Jets team has a great defense. I like Geno Smith. I like this defense more
importantly. I don't like Geno Smith. He will be the demise of the Jets in this game.
He threw that
Tennessee.
Beautiful throw.
Tennessee with the win.
I'm going Tennessee as well because, like you're saying, Rex Ryan can't get it done on offense. Nothing for the Jets.
This next one was a hard pick for me because I like the Eagles. I like what Chip Kelly's doing, but it's hard to go against a 3-0 Peyton Manning Bronco team.
You can't go against Peyton Manning in this matchup. I'm sorry. This Eagles team.
You can't go against Peyton Manning, period.
Well, you can. You just have to be Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This Eagles team, their whole thing is up momentum offense, up momentum. They're gonna be gassing it mile high. There's no way they're going to keep up.
That's an actually interesting point that I didn't even think about.
Absolutely. There's no way they're going to run 70 plays at mile high. I got Peyton Manning just dominating this game.
Exactly. They have to change the offense in order to work against the Denver Broncos. So it's just not going to work. It's not going to be the Eagles that we expect. It's not the Eagles that surprises people. Peyton Manning might just break another record.
And the thing is, you got to give all the credit in the world to Shady, though. He's been, absolutely amazing. I think he's averaging 150 yards a game. Dude's just a beast in this offense.
Moving on, Redskins, Raiders. I'm going to throw it out there. Even though Terrell Pryor will not play,
Concussion.
Raiders get the win at home in the Coliseum. Open up the Oakland fan base for the MLB postseason.
I disagree with you, sir. I think RG3 finally has some confidence left in that leg. He's going to start becoming more mobile, be the old RG3 that we saw.
Well, he's had that time pass. He can be more healed now and can just play like he used to last season.
Isn't this the week, Dave, that you said in the preseason that we'd see Kirk Cousins sighting?
I thought it would be, and yet it's the other way around. This Redskins team has sucked so badly.
If they suck in this one, do we see a Kirk Cousins sighting?
I think
No,
it would
you
absolutely
don't go
crush
past
RG3 at this
RG3.
point. He's making progress forward, and the losses, honestly, they're a little on him, but this defense has been terrible. The special teams have been terrible. It's not all on him. I expected the other two phases of the game to be a higher level when I made that prediction.
Redskins are finally going to get a win.
Yep.
Another tough matchup for me. I'm going to go with the Chargers, but Chargers boys.
Go, Chargers, go.
I'm taking the
Nice.
Cowboys on this one because Phillip Rivers, once again, going to throw to the defense that likes to
He's like,
get
yeah, but who won?
interceptions.
Tony Romo's not much better.
Tony Romo's not much better at all. But
give credit
I do not-
to this Chargers offense. I honestly, head coach too, honestly. It's like night and day watching this Phillip Rivers versus last year. He's 8
still-
touchdowns, 1 pick.
he still throws to who was that over there? Oh, nobody. Nobody's
Okay.
even in the
And
vicinity.
his only pick was the touchdown against the Texans.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have a lot of trouble against this Cowboys defense.
But at the same time, I said, look at Tony Romo, and Tony Romo has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Okay, so 2 pretty good quarterbacks, still under a lot of criticism.
Yeah, a lot.
But the thing is, I kind of like this Chargers team. They seem like finally turning it around.
Especially, I mean, when you got Rivers, he found a guy in Eddie Royal, he especially as a safety blanket, and Antonio Gates. It's hard for me to go against this team, especially at home. And then you got Sunday night matchup. It's hard for me to go against Belichick, against the Hoodie, against Brady. Patriots go 4-0, beat Atlanta in the Dome.
Bullshit. I think we're breaking tide here. Atlanta Falcons going to win this one. That'd be Tom Brady's first loss to Atlanta in, ever.
Oh, and I forgot Gronk's coming back.
Gronk
Tutties.
is coming back.
So he says. We'll see what
He's
happens.
coming
We'll
back.
see what happens. Tom Brady still has nobody to throw to. They can't just magically
Gronk.
squeak another one out.
He's got Gronk.
We'll see.
They can put 8.
We'll see what happens.
Honestly, the Falcons can put 10 in the box because he doesn't throw it more than 8 yards down the field.
Yeah, but when you do that, Brady will do that. And then
Who's
he
going
will
to throw it on the field to?
Somebody who will go up.
That
I didn't catch it.
5'9" white receiver who doesn't have a last name? Yeah, that's what I thought.
You got Dobson, then you got your favorite guy, Cabral. Is that Kenbrel?
Kenbrel?
Yeah, that first name you love, Dave.
Just-
Kenbrel.
No, they've got no options. I'm sorry. No.
And then the last but not least, Monday night game. I'm going with another AFC East winner. Dolphins go 4-0 thanks to Lauren Tannehill.
Saints are different. It's hard to argue with that picture in Lauren Tannehill. Saints take this one. This Saints team is for real. I think they're definitely going to be competing for championship this year.
Without a doubt, they're doing better than the division rivals of the Atlanta Falcons right now. They want to keep that momentum going forward. They got this one.
And the cool thing is, it's not just their offense that's clicking. Their defense is going too.
And
Well,
this is the big
it's
prime
funny
time
how you-
matchup they need.
It's funny how you bring your coach back and then things start clicking.
Oh, well, yeah, that definitely adds a different level.
This is them coming back and saying, hey, forget about last season.
Yeah,
we're
but at
back.
the same time, it's the Dolphins saying, hey, are we for real?
Dolphins,
Yes, we are.
The
They won't
Dolphins
be.
are for real, but I don't think they're going to be able to win this one.
They won't. Exactly. They're not winning. Not against the Saints defense.
Well, that's going to do it for the Onside Kick. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And as always, leave a comment down below. We love talking to you, the fan, about what you think about the sports we bring to you every week. And as always, have a good day, everybody.